And we are live with another episode of the Brownwater Banter Podcast. My name is Jared Seymour.
My name is Joey Cates.
It is Joey Cates, and we got a good local, hyper-local show.
Super
in the studio
hyper.
today with us, we have Terese and Thomas from the, I don't want to mess it up, I'm going to say it right, the birthplace of Barq's Bed and Breakfast. You've seen this house before if you're here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and if you don't know what Barq's root beer is, well, you can probably just stop watching right now because you're not important to us. One of the best sodas that ever existed. So we're going to jump into it, the history of Barq's here on the Gulf Coast. It's going to be a great episode. But before we do that, we're going to thank the people that keep the lights on for us over here at the Brownwater Studio. Right out of the gate, Dr. Robbie Williams over at Southern Magnolia Smiles. If you are looking for a great local dentist, you can look them up on the socials at Southern Magnolia Smiles on Facebook and Instagram. 2026 is the year to brush your teeth. So you can book an appointment with them by calling them at 228-215-1202 and tell them Brownwater sent you. If you need legal representation, this is our buddy Tyler, man. He's all over the news right now. He was on Nancy Grace
he was.
the other day.
With her, yep.
Yeah, I love it. I can't stand that woman. So good job, Tyler. I appreciate you. Taylor and Cox Law Firm right here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. They're in Jackson County, George County, and Greene County. They specialize in felonies, misdemeanors, DUI, BUI, family law, divorce, child custody, you name it. You need somebody that's going to fight tooth and nail for you in the courtroom. Taylor and Cox Law Firm is the one for you. Give them a call at 228-696-0111 and tell them Brownwater sent you. If you're trying to get active and moving around, prioritizing your health, Forever Young Men and Women's Health is the one for you. Kinjic, right here in the photo. He can go over all things health and fitness. Forever Young Men and Women's Health's motto is bringing medicine, health, and exercise together to help men and women live their best lives. So you book an appointment with them. They draw some blood on you. They do some lab work. They go over the results with you, see if you're hormone deficient or vitamin deficient. And like I said, they specialize in testosterone replacement for both men and women, believe it or not. So give them a call at 228-363-6623. And again, tell them Brownwater sent you. Insured Roofing. They are coastal Mississippi's trusting roofing experts. They specialize in roof replacements, repairs, storm damage, restoration, you name it. They're fortified, roof certified. And they're right here on the Gulf Coast. So you can look them up on insuredroof.com. That is ENSURED Roofing is the name of the business, or ENSURED Roof.com. Or give them a call at 228-797-7667. And, it's important to have a good roof because if you don't,
You get rained on.
you can get rained on. That's right. And nobody likes that. So give them a shout, and we appreciate them supporting the show. We got our tournament coming up, and Dewey Do Bugs is the title sponsor of the Sheep's Head Showdown. They took the first place sponsorship, and we couldn't be more happy. We actually went, my family and I went this, what is today? Tuesday as we record. I think it was Saturday evening. We went and ate at Dewey Do Bugs in D'Iberville. If you've never been there before, they got the best boiled seafood on the coast, man. Go check them out. They're on Facebook. You can see the photos. It's just a really good restaurant, a great vibe, smells amazing, food's awesome. Dewey Do Bugs in D'Iberville. Give them a shout and go check them out, man. We appreciate Larry and everything he does for us over here. And bringing up the rear, MikeStickers.com. You can find them on Facebook as well. Any stickers you need, whether it's vinyl stickers, small stickers, big stickers, signs. They do business signs, and I'm talking like big neon signs in front of like
Fish cleaning tables.
Yeah, oh, yeah, he does do that too. That's right. He's helped us out with a ton of our stuff. So look him up, MikeStickers.com on Facebook, or you can give him a call at 586-615-3636. And like I said, they do everything. So if you need signage of any kind, give him a shout. All right.
That's it.
Yeah, we want to thank all the sponsors, and like I said, we can't do the show without them. Also, just right off the top here, Sheep's Head Showdown is coming up October, the weekend of the 24th, 25th, whatever that Saturday is. I believe it's 24th, Joey, 25th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so registration is going to be coming live for that here in the near future, so be on the lookout. So thank y'all for sticking with us through that. Now, we're going to jump into a story that doesn't get more Gulf Coast. You couldn't get more Gulf Coast, period. And I want to do something real quick, too. I'm going to lead with a photo because I don't know about y'all, but when I think of Barq's root beer, this is what I think of. And I hope everybody can tell right here on their phones or on their TVs. This is two Barq's root beers and a po' boy wrapped in white po' boy paper, and with the gravy in the thing. It's legit. Like I don't know. It doesn't get any more Gulf Coast than that, dude. And when I knew we were going to do this episode, First thing came to mind. I went to y'all's Facebook page, ripped this picture right off of here, and I don't know. That just reminds me of a lot of good memories right there. So you can see it right there. But I want to thank y'all both for being here this evening, and I want to jump right into it. First, if you could introduce yourselves to the audience, and we're going to jump, I know, right into the story of Barq. So if you wouldn't mind starting it off for us.
Okay. My name is Terese Nicovich. I am the owner and operator of Birthplace of Barq's Bed and Breakfast.
Okay. All right. And you, sir?
I'm Thomas Quave. I am the great-grandson of the founder of Barq Root Beer, Edward Barq Sr.
There we go.
Sweet.
Those are two coastal names here with the
Absolutely.
Barqs, with the Quave, with the Nicovich. Did I say that
Yes.
right? Yeah, and you mentioned earlier the Slavonian
yes.
influence here on the Gulf Coast before we went live, so it's very much a part of the Gulf Coast. But like I say, I'd like to start with the history of Barq's, and then we'll get to how we got to the
Sure.
to where we're at today. So that is your, say it again, your
My great-grandfather.
great-grandfather. Okay. So growing up, I mean, your whole life, obviously you knew that.
Yes.
I'm sure you have some good stories about how that all got started to become just what it is here as far as on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. It's a huge name, obviously.
It is my great-grandfather moved from New Orleans
Okay.
to Biloxi around 18, well, no, it was before 1898 because that was when he came to Biloxi and started. He bought the Biloxi Artesian Bottling Works, which was an existing enterprise that bottled artesian water.
Right.
Okay.
And he had been bottling beverages in New Orleans, but not root beer. His main beverage in New Orleans was a drink called Orangine. It was made with it was an orange drink,
Okay.
and he bottled that in the French Quarter with other drinks. And he was in business with his brother, and his brother passed away, and he just got married, and for whatever reason, he just decided to leave New Orleans and come to Biloxi.
Yeah.
And-
I know personally, like we've read stories and talked about it on the show, New Orleans or Biloxi used to be kind of like the vacation spot or
Yeah.
playground spot for people that wanted to
Yes.
leave the city and kind of come out here and vacation. The whole Gulf Coast, really. So maybe that's how he got over here. I don't know.
It was, but he started, and most of what he did was bottling water,
Mhm.
and he had a building in the back where he made pasta.
Okay. Okay.
Bottled
And-
water and pasta.
Yeah.
and
Water
what
and
was-
pasta.
his main clientele were the shrimp boats
Okay.
because the pasta didn't need refrigeration. They could carry it out there, boil it up when they needed it. Of course,
Okay.
they needed fresh water. And he perfected the root beer shortly afterwards and started bottling root beer. And that went on for a while because there wasn't enough in root beer sales initially to make it just on selling root beer. So the pasta kept going, and World War I happened, and he couldn't get the Russian wheat that he liked
Okay.
to make the pasta. So he sold all that equipment to a family in New Orleans. And by that time, the root beer was
Taken off.
taken off.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said something that just caught my ear. It's like when you say he's making pasta, I think about it in today's terms where you go down to the store and you buy the pasta and you boil it and then
No.
you have you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, he
Right.
made the
Made the
pasta.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get the wheat that he wanted, so that was like,
Do it
this is
all.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do this.
Did he? Did you ever hear anything about what was the inspiration on the root beer? Was there a special something that kicked off?
He had a passion for flavors
Okay.
and creating flavors and drinks. He was a college-educated sugar chemist.
Really?
He studied in France, and because he was born in New Orleans. Then he moved back to France and
Wow.
grew up in France, and then came back to New Orleans
Okay.
as an adult.
Is Barq's a French name? Do you
They're
know?
from France.
Okay. Wow. Damn, I didn't realize
I didn't
that.
either.
So
Around,
Best
around
thing the French
Normandy.
made.
It was
really?
around Normandy. Yes. Yes. To hear Tom's aunt, who we recently lost one of his aunts, tell it. Tom's great grandfather was formerly educated in Bordeaux, France, and he wanted to bottle fine wines
And champagne.
and
Right.
champagne, but wound up coming back to the United States, he and his brother with his mother. And that's how they wound up back in New Orleans. And then when his brother Gaston passed away, that's how he wound up here. So his love of flavors would come from his desire to, bottle fine things
Right.
and then just, I
Yeah.
guess there's an artistry to it.
Oh, for sure.
absolutely.
And I'm wondering, like, I didn't really realize, and I wonder if it was like bottling water back then. I thought that was more of a new thing. People talk about
Yeah.
nowadays, like, why do we pay for water? Why do
Yeah.
we bottle it in the plastics and all that discussion? But was it for personal consumption, or was it maybe more for bigger bottles, like jugs or something? Like, do you know anything about that?
It was larger bottles, but it was because they needed fresh water on the boats. The
Sure.
boats
That's
would
what I was
stay
gonna
out
ask,
for
shrimp
the
boats,
boats
right.
would stay out. The schooners would stay out for a long time,
Okay.
Right.
and they just
Yeah.
you-
Again, so
you
it's
needed
like the
water.
pasta thing. It's not like you're bottling water for people to get at the gas station, because they probably didn't have those
No.
in 1890, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a more of a commercial use,
Yeah.
maybe, if that's a good word for it.
Right.
Yeah.
They had
Yeah.
to stock up before they left. And if you think about it, like Tom said, they could bring the pasta with them because the pasta would not spoil.
Mm-hmm.
They could bring bottled water with them. Recently I saw a picture of an artesian well near where the Isle of Caprice was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sticking up out of the
But
water.
when you go further out than that, you don't have those artesian wells. You have to be able to sustain yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Hence the bottled water back then.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
I've
makes
always
sense.
heard about that well, and I've seen pictures.
I have.
They say
Yes.
it's still out there. I've seen
It
the
is.
marks.
Yeah.
I have the GPS, but when you go over it, there's really.
Yeah, you'd probably have to
Yeah.
dive
It's
down. It's
underwater.
probably
Yeah,
it's probably
it's down
covered at
there.
this point. With
But
all
that would
kind
be
of stuff.
cool because I've seen the old man in the rowboat,
Yep.
and he's sitting there
Yep.
drinking out of the
Yeah.
well. Man,
Yep,
that's
yep,
crazy.
kind of an iconic
in the
picture
middle
for,
of salt water
Yeah.
everywhere.
for around here.
Well, and you do realize that the original artesian well is buried under the bottling house at the bed and breakfast.
okay.
Really?
Okay.
It is still there. And Tom can tell you more about that.
Yeah.
How do we find it? How did he? Was it? Did he dig down? Did he have to dig, or it was already there?
It was already there.
Okay.
But it came up through the floor, and it's right at the foot of the stairs where you go up to the loft in the top, which is where our main suite is.
Okay.
But right at the bottom was where they would fill the bottles. They had a loft where they would put all the ingredients for the root beer,
Uh-huh.
and it was gravity fed through that second story loft through tubes, and they would fill the bottles with the ingredients for the beverage, and then they would put the water in and cap them. And
Okay. Was
Move
I,
them
I
off.
was thinking about this a minute ago. Was he didn't invent root beer, correct? Root beer was already a thing. Is
Yes.
that right? He just
Yes.
made his own take on the
Yeah.
flavor
Yes.
profile
Yes.
for Barq's. Okay. Okay. I guess it was already a popular drink even at that time.
Mhm.
And there's a
root
bunch
beer.
of root beers. I didn't realize how many root beers. You go.
But
only-
none like
there-
a
I was
Oh,
gonna
bar.
say-
no. There's
Yeah.
only one.
There's only one
There's
root
only
beer.
one, but there's a bunch. Like you go to Cracker Barrel, there's like a whole
Yeah,
wall
and
of root
I've,
beer.
I've,
They're not very
I've
good.
never liked any other root beer, to be honest with you. I'm not just saying that because they're sitting right here, but like the only two sodas, in my opinion, that are even like that are neck and neck would be a Barq's root beer and a regular Coca-Cola, right? Like those are the two.
Yeah.
Every other root beer I've never cared for.
Right.
Not at all.
And down here, we call everything Coke.
Right,
Right.
right, we
Anything
do,
that's
we do,
carbonated
we
that
do.
we drink, you say, "Oh, I'll have a Coke. I'll have a Coke," and
Yeah.
we don't mean a Coca-Cola.
Right.
Just
Mhm.
anything carbonated,
A
unless
soda
it's
is what-
unless it's Barq's.
That's right. Root
when,
beer.
when you're down here, and this is, from what I understand, the only place in the country where people will say, "I'll take a Barq's," and we automatically know it's a root beer. Around the country, if you say, "I'll take a Barq's," they're like, "A Barq's what?"
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
You
and
know,
see,
you
I'm
want
kind
a
of the
red
opposite.
cream, a vanilla
I-
cream.
Right.
Yeah, see, I say I
whatever,
want
and
root beer, and if you give me
Right.
anything but that, I'm like, what is
What is
this?
that?
Take that back.
Take this
Right.
back.
Yeah.
Now, Tom's great grandfather didn't call it root beer.
Really?
What is
No, he
Barq's?
didn't.
Barq's.
There's very few things you'll find that have root beer on them. I think the new bottles say
Mhm.
root beer way down at the
Yeah,
bottom,
they
but
do.
Mhm.
most of the time it just said drink Barq's. It's good.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was Barq's. And,
Barq's has bite.
I have a few old bottles that are they're rare that they do have root beer on the bottles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Th-
okay.
Those are big
Yeah,
collector's
that's
items, especially old Biloxi. Everybody goes for those old school Barq's bottles, and they're worth. Some of them are worth a lot of money,
Right.
from what I hear.
They are. We've got a pretty. I think we have a pretty decent selection
It's
of
respectable.
vintage bottles. I know private collectors whose collections are
Right.
just
Out
you
of
know,
this world.
yeah, and I'm not that, but I think over the years I have a pretty solid collection of different bottles, and which I think would be interesting for people to see.
Yeah.
There
when they
are some
come.
things that exist within the collection that you will not find in other places because of the personal family.
Oh yeah, I can only
Connection.
imagine.
So there are things there that would surprise people, and it's pleasantly so. But back to what Tom's grandfather did not call the root beer, he called it pop. And, that's something you don't hear around these parts very often, but even on the front of the building for him to put the signage, Barq's Pop.
Really?
Jersey cream.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that a lot of the locals don't even realize.
No.
And I actually have a.
He
I
called
have.
it the
Well,
pop.
usually when you hear pop, it's like Wisconsin or something.
He
you know what I'm
called
saying?
it the pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a picture that I got again off of
yeah,
your
there it is,
Facebook
right there.
page. This is
Barq's
the
Pop.
actual. It'll come up in a second,
Oh,
even larger.
yes.
This is the actual the old bottling
Yes.
company, and like you just said, you can see Barq's Pop Jersey Cream right there. So
That is correct.
what was the Jersey Cream? I mean, is that what? Is it not? I mean, was he trying not to call it root beer? Like, what was the deal there?
different, just another beverage.
Oh, that
they
was
were
a completely different beverage.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jersey
So-
cream is a different
Okay.
beverage.
Okay.
Barq's has made many different beverages and flavors over the years.
Okay. All right. So as I say in the photo right here, and you can see it up there. Obviously,
Yes.
y'all know what it is. But can we describe a little bit more in detail about what we're looking at here at the building? And this would have been in its prime, right?
Yes.
That picture's
Looks like a couple
Pro-
years ago.
it's
Yeah.
it's probably not around 1910.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
I
That's a little bit old.
Yeah.
It could be earlier, but as you can see, they've got a lot of product out there on the loading deck. So
Yeah.
they were getting established. That wagon in the front, my grandfather called that the jackass wagon
Okay.
Okay.
because they pulled it with a
Oh.
mule.
That
Right.
makes sense.
And when he was about 10 years old,
Mhm.
he started delivering root beer in that wagon.
Put him to work.
And he would go out as far as Vancleave
Holy smokes.
That's a haul
Yes.
on a wagon.
with
Yeah.
that wagon, and he would have to sleep overnight, and had a blanket, and he would sleep underneath the wagon.
At 10 years old.
They don't make them like that. Could you
Could you-
imagine sending one of our 10 years old out there?
No. Can you
Oh, no.
imagine?
They
No.
wouldn't even. Oh,
No.
they wouldn't make it 5 seconds.
Not at
I'll-
all. No.
I'll tell you something. My grandfather told this story to my father. He took off in that wagon, got across the original Back Bay Bridge, which was a wooden bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Got to the other side. He stopped at a hardware store in D'Iberville to get some crackers and some provisions. And the man told him, he says, "You've got to turn around and go back." He said, "There's a hurricane coming."
Oh gosh.
He says, "You need to get back home." He said, "I can't go back home. I've got all this root beer. My dad will be mad at me if I don't go make the delivery." And he said, "You tell him that I would not let you go."
Right.
And by that time, it was blowing in sideways.
Bad, yeah.
He turned around, went
Wow.
over the bridge, and a shrimp boat broke loose and started heading toward the bridge. And he just got in front of it, and that boat came through the bridge right behind him.
Tore
What?
up. That's crazy.
Wow. Now that's a crazy story.
it
At
is.
10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't that say a lot about Tom's grandfather, Barq Jr.?
Oh yeah.
At 10 years old, to have that sort of work ethic. And then all these years later, we can say that while Tom's great-grandfather was the artisan who
Mhm.
invented the pop, the
Mhm.
root
Right.
beer, Tom's grandfather, Barq Jr., was the financial mastermind behind that corporation. This man did wonderful things for Barq's. One of those things that I'm particularly proud of is that, everybody used to bottle in an 8-ounce size. But Tom's grandfather is the one that said to his father, Dad, I think that we could bottle in a 12-ounce size
Right.
and sell just as much, sell it for the same price and still make money.
Mm-hmm.
And Barq's root beer, from what we understand, was the first of the carbonated beverages to bottle in a 12-ounce size, and then
Yeah.
everybody followed suit.
I'm glad they
Yeah.
did.
I believe
Yeah.
they got their original 12-ounce bottles from the Fabachers,
Correct.
who had the beer brewery in New Orleans.
Okay.
That's
So
correct.
they just
Yeah.
reused beer bottles and put root beer in it.
Well,
for a while until
Yeah.
they start.
Yeah.
they did, and the diamond pattern.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And the reason they chose the diamond pattern when they finally came up with the diamond pattern bottle was because it was modeled very, very closely to what the Fabachers used. And people that were local, both in Biloxi and New Orleans, recognized and could associate
Yeah.
with the look of that bottle.
Kind of gave them a little bit of
Yeah.
cosign, maybe.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
As a new
yeah.
company.
The marketing that went on, behind the scenes, they were just using their common sense,
Mm-hmm.
what they felt would work, and it did. There were many, many instances of marketing techniques that they used through the years, through all the years.
Yeah. That's cool that you say that, though, about the Barq Jr. being the kind of the business guy of the thing, because a lot of times that we've talked about it with lots of different people
Yeah.
that do lots of different things on this show. Like there's the artist kind of side or the creative or the builder, but you got to have
Somebody's gotta
somebody.
pay the bills.
Teamwork.
Well, somebody's got to
It's
be the
about
one
teamwork.
to turn into a business, right?
It is. It's about teamwork. And Tom and I have talked about this over the time of developing our idea of what we want the B&B to be.
Uh-huh.
Barq Jr. does not get mentioned as often as Barq Sr. has the credit for inventing the root beer, but his grandfather was a tremendous
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
of the development of
'Cause
the
remember, 'cause
corporation.
He was born right after they moved to Biloxi.
Yes.
Okay.
So, as I said, that would have been around 1910, around the time that picture was
Mhm.
taken.
Right.
That was up.
Correct?
Was was about the time that story happened that I just told you. So I mean, he was there with his father along the way, and was really a big part of the expansion, the franchising.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. There's a whole story there. You
Yeah.
know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
in that whole
And
part
then
of
the
it.
next generation, the third generation, where 3 of 5 siblings, all Barks, saw to it that the corporation would survive after the first 2 generations were no longer with us.
Mhm.
We have Edward Barq III, Bill Barq, and Tom's aunt, Ella Mae Barq, who all dedicated their lives to making sure that this corporation grew. And they were a huge part of the community.
Yeah.
Huge part of the community.
Yeah.
You got up to about World War One, right? And then
Right.
what? This same building, still in the same building, but there was a move at some point, right? Is that
It was
correct?
in 1936. They bought a building that had been used as a Ford dealership. It was on the north side of Lemieux and the railroad tracks in Biloxi.
Okay.
They converted that and expanded it and made some modifications, but turned it into, at the time, was a state-of-the-art bottling facility. It was all mechanical, and automated, and I think that was used for bottling until probably probably the mid '80s.
Wow.
Really? I didn't realize it was
Oh,
that.
yeah.
bad.
Yeah. That's way further
Yeah.
in.
I
than
might be a
would've
little
guessed.
off on that date, but
Yeah.
around that
Yeah.
time it
Right.
was.
I was thinking you were gonna say like the 40s or the 50s. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh,
like,
no.
that
It went all
far.
the-
Yeah.
We might have been alive.
Right.
You were alive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that, from 1898, when the root beer was invented, until 1936, every bottle was individually hand bottled and hand capped
Mhm.
at the Keller Avenue location where the B&B is located,
Okay.
in the original bottling house. In 1936, when they needed to have space to expand and automate because of machinery
Right.
and things like that, the business had grown so much. That's when they moved to Lemieux Street. And, that's tremendous because that's the street where we saw City Hall, the library, lots of big things right there. So it was located right there across the railroad track. So it relocated into the actual very hub,
The heart. Yeah.
Right.
the heart of the city. And that building still exists. Their
Yeah.
home by that building still exists. It's
That's crazy.
something to
Yeah.
behold.
So they lived right next to the.
Well, my great grandfather, when they bought that building, he built his house just to the
Oh,
north
okay.
of it, so he lived right there,
Right
right
by
next
the
to the
building,
building.
yeah.
Yeah,
He always lived right next to the building.
yeah.
Even the building that we have chosen to use as the bed and breakfast, the original bottling house, he lived in the house just north of it.
Really?
And that house still exists. And Tom's cousin, the oldest grandchild, still lives in that home.
You want to be
Yeah.
close so we can go over there and make sure they were doing everything
Yes.
right.
That's right. Gotta keep
I
an
can't
eye-
get too far
Exactly
away. I
right.
got to put an
Yeah.
eye on
Keep it
young.
close.
Yeah.
There you go.
We can look back over here at the monitor and kind of see what the building used to be, and then kind of what it became.
Oh.
And again, that's off your Facebook page there.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
can you talk to us a little bit about the progression from how did we get to here?
I can't, the building was used for storage after 1936, and it basically just stayed
Right.
just an old white wood frame building that was used for storage. And if you know the exact date, jump in and say it, but it was in the 80s. My aunt Lucille opened Lucille's restaurant in there, and she had a restaurant in there through the 80s. If you look in that back corner, you'll see some pink paint.
Yep.
She painted the whole building pink.
Oh
Really?
wow!
and had it had a restaurant there and operated for a number of years.
Tom's Aunt Lucille was married to Edward Barq III.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and she lived again in the pink house. She must have liked pink, but she lived in the house right to the north.
Yeah, and it stands out
that.
too. It's hard to drive by
And,
a solid pink building
that
and not
house
notice it. Yeah.
That house where his cousin lives, where Barq Sr. and his wife lived, is still painted pink. So
Really?
if you go down Howard Avenue, you can't miss it. It's beautiful.
Okay. And then here again off the Facebook page, but it'll swap in just a second so you see a little bit bigger. But that's kind of the interior of the house. It's stripped down to the bare
The
bones.
beams,
Yeah,
yeah.
nothing
It
but the
is.
skeleton.
We had a which hurricane was it?
It was Zeta.
It was Zeta came through and almost knocked the building down.
Mhm.
Look at that old 1800s wood
Yeah.
in those
Yeah.
trusses. All of that. I'm so glad you chose that picture.
Uh-huh.
That wood, and Tom can tell you more about what they had to do to make sure that the 1800s wood stayed exactly where it was.
That's
It
pretty
was
sweet.
a sight to behold. It's almost like art to look at the geometry of it. That wood is all still the skeleton of the building.
Yeah.
And what they did, the restoration on this thing was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right.
When I was a teenager, like late teens, early 20s, I would do some restoration work with my grandpa. He was a carpenter. And anytime you went into an older house, now it wasn't from the 1800s that I ever worked on, but even like the 60s, the wood from back then to compared to
Real
what you would get
2x4s.
now
Oh.
it is very much
Yeah.
different.
The 2x4
Way
is big
stronger,
instead of this big.
well, thicker. Just the
Yeah.
grain in it was real wood,
Yeah.
and not that quick grown,
Yeah.
quick cut
Right.
stuff that you get nowadays.
Even
so.
the interior of the building, and I don't know if we have pictures of that, but even the interior of the building today
Mhm.
is paneled with as much of that old 1800s wood as he was able to salvage. It is absolutely beautiful. You really do walk into history.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
lovely.
I have some coming up that I'll show
Okay.
the renovation
Good,
of the
good,
building.
good.
But I kind of wanted to just show that what we were talking about. Go ahead.
They
You got
had,
some?
yeah, they you got the. I think they have some pictures of it, but again, the building was
Yeah. Yeah.
like
It was.
cattywampus.
Yeah. It
leaning-
was. It was.
Cattywampus.
It needed some attention.
Yeah, a little way.
Yeah.
leaning over. I was my cousin Robert Bones Barq
Mhm.
asked me some years back if I wanted to go in partnership with him on the building, and I did, and we had some different ideas on what we were going to do with it, and we'd actually sold it to some people who wanted to put a business in there, and that ended up not working out, and the people basically gave the building back to us.
Okay.
And then the hurricane hit,
Mhm.
and I ended up being the sole owner of the building at that point. So I had this building that was about to fall into the street
Right. Right. Right.
at
right.
that point. And
The city didn't
I'm
think it was
gonna
make it.
gonna plug my friend Andrew Alexander,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
who came in, and he's a builder,
Mm-hmm.
and among several
things, yeah.
many talents.
Yeah.
He came and looked at it and said, "Can we do anything with this?" And he was excited. He said, "Oh yes." He says, "We can." He said, "We can save this." And we basically had to take a lot of it apart. All the roof trusses came off. We set those aside. We had to straighten it up. All the front walls and the two side walls are still original.
Okay.
The back wall, which was the one that had the piece of pink on the back of it, when we got to removing some of the rot and damaged wood, there wasn't really enough left there to save. But we had to get a new foundation underneath it, and that was when we moved the building 6 feet back because the front of the building was right on the sidewalk.
That's how you used to build them back in those days, right?
And
you didn't even get a car to park
and the
there,
road
really.
probably widened at some point,
Right.
But we had to moving it back 6 feet. Let us put steps on the front of it so we could use the front door. Because before you couldn't really use the front door because there was no way to put steps on it to get inside of it.
Those steps are made from the bricks that were the original foundation, the pilings for the building. So even those were utilized and repurposed to remain part of the building. I told Andrew Alexander the other day, we received some beautiful photography of the building, and I told him, I said, "This one is your masterpiece." You know, Andrew is the great grandson of Laz Lopez, so we have kept this so local. Just everything about the reconstruction, the renovation of this building has been kept Biloxi.
I love it.
It's home.
I love it.
It's
and now people have a chance to go stay there,
Check it
which
out.
we're going to get into.
That
and
is
experience.
correct.
Yeah, experience.
Yeah.
for
Did we
themselves.
talk about how long the renovations went on? How long did it take to finish the whole thing?
I think on probably about 5 years.
Really?
Total.
But we never had a plan.
That's always a good
There
one.
was no plan.
We didn't have a plan.
It's true.
We didn't. And we just kind of, and then we had different ideas for things we were going to do for the building. And as we changed, a few times on what we wanted to do with it, then the plans would change. So we've stopped to think,
That
and then
sounds
try
kinda
to get
like art.
restarted again.
It's kind of like art, though, right? Like
It is.
like
Do a little bit, look
But-
at it.
Right,
Nah, I
it's
got to
like,
change this.
we
Yeah.
started out
Yeah.
thinking it was going to be this, and then it ended up over here, and this is beautiful, and that's what we got.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of makes it part of the
Because
story.
remember, this started, let's just get it straight where it's not falling down and get it
Right.
kind of put back together. And then someone had the idea, why don't we use it as a vacation rental?
Yeah.
Where you would
Yes.
people would just rent it, like just rent the whole house.
Right.
Yep. And then
Did a museum ever come up as an idea? I mean, that's kind of like it seems
it
very
Did.
it did. And having a museum pay for itself is another
right.
that's,
Right.
know,
You have
where
to
you-
get
where you're
grants
not
and
getting
stuff like that.
yeah,
From
yeah.
That's, and Terese mentioned bed and breakfast to me one day. We were just talking, and I dismissed it at first, and
For 2 years, he
and-
just missed it.
I did.
Yeah, 2
and
years.
and I got to thinking about it and going through it, and I told her, I says, "Why don't you put something down on paper? Show me what you think you could do with it." And she put a plan out, and her plan looked better than my plan. I think, but no, it seemed to work out. So I'm pleased that we are at this point where we're right on the threshold of maybe being, 60 to 90 days for being ready.
Okay, yeah, that
It's
was one of the
exciting.
questions I had.
It-
Is like
it's
where
exciting.
we at in the thing. So
Yeah.
60 to 90 days out
Yeah.
from
Be
being.
ready to rock.
It is. And the building itself is complete, and it is a sight to behold.
Oh yeah.
It is. I have actually taken up residence there a little bit earlier than we anticipated. It's a very comfortable, homey, cozy spot. You can feel the spirit of the building when
Right.
you walk in the door.
Got old bones.
You
Yeah.
can feel it. You can sense it. It's very original. It's a gem.
Yeah.
It is just a historical local gem, and it's I'm so happy that Tom decided to go ahead and go forward with the bed and breakfast idea. You mentioned museum. Yes. I didn't find out that there were thoughts of it being a museum until much later in the process, but there were several people along the way, and it's evolved over the years from one thing to another. And I think it's grown in its personality with every change.
Right.
There were a lot of hands and a lot of minds and a lot of hearts that have put in time, blood, sweat, and tears. I'm going to give a little bit more credit here. Um, the building was put on the list of most endangered historical sites
Yeah.
in the state of Mississippi.
Oh,
That was largely due to Chelsea Prince
Mm-hmm.
and Tanya Darrow. They worked very hard to see to it that this building made it to that list.
I'm thinking that's not a good list
These,
to be on, but
b-
that
but
helped
these
for
it
attention.
it did, and these women forged a way for there to be excavation of the property. Some of the bottles that you'll see and the memorabilia that you'll see was actually dug up from the site
Oh
I bet.
wow,
Yeah, I
yeah.
bet that.
underneath the building. I mean, and then when Tom called me after those 2 years, because I mentioned bed and breakfast and he said no, and I know him well enough to know when he says no, it's no. I didn't mention it again. 2 years ago, you can imagine my surprise when I got the phone call
Yeah.
about that bed and breakfast, put something together. Let's see. So I did, and it has just grown and grown and grown. It is going to be a living museum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not a formal museum, but when you walk in that door, I can't tell you exactly what you'll see because there will be no surprise, but anyone who walks in those doors is immersed in
Mhm.
not just the feeling of the site, but surrounded by this beautiful family that chose Biloxi as their home.
yeah.
I mean, that's where
And
this
left
all
a
started.
mark.
If you
Yeah.
think about it, it didn't start with root beer. It started with Tom's great grandfather and his new wife, who relocated from New Orleans to Biloxi after the death of his brother, his partner.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know what was going to happen
Yeah.
when they got here. All they knew is that they found a building. They grew a beautiful legacy for
Yeah.
our city. They grew a beautiful legacy by way of a lovely family.
Mm-hmm.
And they have all become a part of our community. And now we've got grandchildren, great grandchildren, great great grandchildren. And of course, if you live in Biloxi at all, whether you're a native Biloxian like we are, or whether you've chosen Biloxi as your home, you can claim you got a little bit of
Yeah.
that Barq's root beer
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
blood.
Absolutely.
You know,
100%. A lot.
It's
It
a lot
is.
better than just a museum because, like you
Oh
said,
my
you
goodness!
can stay, you can experience, you can
you know,
Yeah.
spend the night there.
Even the furniture, the bed in one of the suites is actually Tom's mother's and father's bed.
Sweet.
Some of the furniture belonged to the Barq family. We have things that I won't mention today that are beautiful surprises that are in that building. So not only will you see the history of the pop, the root
Mhm.
beer, but you're going to see and be able to touch and feel, you know, things that belong to
Yeah.
them. It's like partially their home that is infiltrated what
Right.
used to be the bottling
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
I want to feel like the guests actually get to meet the family, meet
Yes.
the people, get
Yes.
an idea, of who they were and what they
Yeah.
what they did, and
Yeah.
the purpose of that building.
Yeah.
But the main reason I really wanted to do this is there are a lot of people who are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who
Mhm.
remember when Barq's root beer was made in Biloxi,
Right.
and they're familiar with Barq's and the history of that Barq's plays in the city of Biloxi, and you start getting younger people or start really not being aware that
Mhm.
Biloxi has claim to being the birthplace of Barq's root beer.
We
and,
own it.
And I don't want that to go away.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to have something where people that are from here, that people from Biloxi can be proud of this. They can be proud of that history. People from other places can come in here and say, oh, this is where the Barq started.
Right.
You know, that belongs to Biloxi and the Gulf Coast. And I think this will help us to continue to claim that legacy is one of the things
Correct.
that we're known for.
You know, when we began mapping this thing out and brainstorming these ideas, I called my cousin Kevin, who lives in Florida, and I was telling him about it. And he said, Terese, do you mean that if I go there, not only can I tour the building, I can actually rest, spend the night, lay my head down in that history?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you sure can. And if you look at the front of that coffee mug, you will see under the logo our slogan. And it says, lay your head down in history.
Hold on. Let's see if I can get it to focus.
There you go.
It does. It's quoted underneath.
your head down
Lay
in
your head
his-
down in
yeah.
history.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what people are going to be able to do.
Mhm.
I will never forget the first night I spent in that building. I insisted that I stay there by myself. We went around and around about that, but I insisted, and I did. And there's something very, very special about being able to stay there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
That
it
is-
really
that's
is.
super cool.
Yeah.
I've got pictures of the finished renovation again that I
Okay.
got off your
Yeah.
Facebook page. But before we do
I
that,
was going to ask you to, without giving us any surprises,
Sure.
take us around. What? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms?
Okay.
All this stuff.
well,
This I can do.
but can we hold on that
Yeah,
just
yeah,
real
yeah.
quick?
Oh,
Like I said,
okay.
I got the photos. The only thing I want to do
Okay.
is we kind of jumped out of the story of Barq's. I want to jump right back into that and then kind of end it with
Okay.
with what the building looks like
Okay.
because we got up to like the third generation of the family, right? We got senior creates the formula.
Correct.
You know, Junior takes it through the 10 years old. He's riding around delivering stuff, hurricanes, knocking
Correct.
the bridges over. He's the business kind of person. Then the next generation comes in and has to take this and then scale it, right? Because this is now a national brand.
That
Right.
would be Tom's uncles and his aunt.
Okay.
Correct.
So how do we get from local Biloxi, I'm assuming in around the 40s and 50s, to today? And I mean, from the business side of things.
Well, and there was another generation after that that worked for the corporation.
Okay.
I have-
Tom has cousins.
I have cousins that also, you know, had
And-
worked in there. So there were 4 generations of family that
Correct.
that worked. So it's kind of
Yeah.
a long legacy in our family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you give us like kind of like to your best recollection the synopsis of that, like to go from the Biloxi company and then get noticed nationally and work your way up to where it is today?
Well, they did. I mean, they started, you know, through the after World War II.
Yeah,
And
that's
through
what
the
I'm talking about,
and through
yeah.
the 50s, really in the 50s, the franchising really started to grow a lot, and through the 60s.
Okay, and when you say franchising for a
We had-
soda company, is that like now we're bottling it in other locations, and now people are saying, "Hey, I want to become a Barq's. I want to bottle
Yes.
Barq's in XYZ town."
But
Right.
they couldn't make the syrup.
Right, all
Right.
the syrup was made in Biloxi, shipped, and then after it was received, they would, you know, just add water, bottle it, and
Was it mostly in the South? I'm guessing mostly southern.
States and
States,
places
yeah.
that
22.
started franchising early.
22. 22 states.
yes.
Oh, it was from 22 states, so it was all over the place.
At the point Coca-Cola acquired the company, there were 22 states.
Mostly east of the Mississippi River.
Right.
Okay.
Mostly.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's wild. I mean, I know like I've toured the Coca-Cola Museum in was that Atlanta
Yeah.
or whatever, and it's like a big to do as far as the recipe is concerned. They show you all kind of stuff. They show you old notes. They show you all this stuff, but they say that that's one of the most heavily guarded secrets like in the world. I think like there's only 3-4 people on the planet that know the actual formula for Coca-Cola. So I can only imagine what the root beer is like the same. I would assume.
There's a simple yes.
Yeah.
We don't know the recipe for the root beer.
Wow.
There is handwriting that was in the building that belonged to Tom's great grandfather. He handwrote on the wall some different things, but it's not the actual recipe for the root beer. And
Mhm.
I don't think anybody. I don't know of
Well,
anyone who
Do
really
you know how
knows
it was
the
passed down in your family?
The recipe.
The recipe specifically.
Well, yes, I can actually fill in a little bit more on that. My great grandfather, I said he was in Biloxi, and
Mhm.
my grandfather was there growing up with him in the business, and he was I think when he was 18 or 19, he got married and moved to Pascagoula. And his dad gave him all of the
secret.
formulas, and he went
He
to
knew them.
Pascagoula, and he started bottling in Pascagoula. And he did that from about 1920 to about 1942, because his father got sick, and after a brief illness passed away, and he had to move back to Biloxi in 1942. And so that was how he came back from Pascagoula to
Right.
Biloxi.
Yeah,
But
right.
the whole time he was in Pascagoula, he was bottling root beer. He had a Dodge automobile agency. He had other small businesses. He kind of
Did a lot
got
of
a
stuff.
hand.
Yeah.
and,
Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Yes.
As I said, it was in that business was in his blood,
Mhm.
and he was doing.
Yeah.
But again, he came back to Biloxi when his dad was ill, and then passed, and took over and just kept it growing and
And if I'm
kept
not
it going until he passed away in 1970.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, the Pascagoula Bottling Company was Twin Cities, correct?
That's originally what they called when
Twin
he
Cities
was
Bottling.
when he went on his own. That's
Yeah.
what he did. He also had a franchise for some other beverages that he also made along with Barq's. I think he had the Crush
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember
Yeah. Yeah.
franchises.
Yeah.
We found some
Orange, yeah.
paperwork on that.
Dang, that's wild.
It's funny because, like you say, that he wrote some the recipe down on the wall. My grandpa does that too, but he leaves out one of the
Yeah.
main ingredients to
Well,
where nobody makes it as good as him.
We give my grandma
Yeah,
the same
same
exact
thing.
thing when
Yeah.
she makes
And-
something.
You know what we saw was not. I mean, it wasn't a recipe for root beer. It was just simple little ingredients for like.
It was basically the sugar base. It's a syrup,
Yeah.
and then you would add you would use that. I think is the base for the different beverages. And then you would add to that whatever you wanted to make root beer.
But
Okay,
we
yeah.
were able to salvage
Or-
those boards. We took those boards out before they
Yeah.
started the renovation, and
We don't know
that is-
exactly how we're going to incorporate them back in, but
yeah,
they will
they're very precious to the family. You can imagine
they'll
Yeah.
make an appearance in there in some form.
Okay.
It's-
Okay.
in
just-
some form.
So again, like to think like how a soda company grows. So that's what it is. It's like people, obviously the demand's there, and then people say, hey, I want to start bottling this in this state, in this
Yeah.
city, in
Yeah.
this state, and it just grows and grows and grows. And then, I guess kudos to your family for being able to figure out how to manage. It's one thing to make a
Yeah.
thing, and it's one thing to make a thing locally and then get it
Yes.
delivered locally. But as it starts growing, then you got all these problems of scale that you have to solve, right? Otherwise, it's still a good product, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Not just that, but think about the period of time when all of this transpired. I mean, the root beer was invented in 1898, and then you get into the 1930s, you hit the Depression.
Right.
You get into the 40s, you hit World War II. And
I'm sure sugar was
those
probably
are
rationed
other
and hard to
stories.
get.
If people come stay with us, we can share those stories about how this family made it over the hurdles of the Depression and the war and all that. Those are stories for another day, but
Right.
they were able to do wonderful things, and that's where before I was talking about the common sense that they used for their own marketing.
Mhm.
The masterminds behind how they got through those things, those are tremendous hurdles for a small company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
wow.
to be able to survive and become, 22 states,
Mhm.
and then now, I mean, it's all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Who
Yeah.
would have ever thought?
Right. When did it get acquired? When did it get acquired by Coca-Cola?
Do you know the exact-
96.
So in the 90s. In the
Yeah.
90s.
Right.
Okay. What is your personal? Go ahead.
We sold earlier. We sold in
A team.
can't remember the year. You remember the year?
I don't remember the year, but it was sold to the two fellows that they were a team.
They were sold to two men from New Orleans, and they had it for
Corner.
about 10 years.
One of the men's last name
Corner
was
and
Corner.
Alt,
and
and they
Alt.
and they had it for about 10 years, and they sold to Coca-Cola.
Okay.
But the family was still involved in the bottling when Corner and Alt had it, weren't they?
They did.
The fourth generation was.
They worked with them for some number of years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your personal memory like growing up as a child, especially here on the Gulf Coast with the business?
I remember driving up to the plant with my mother, and she would give me the keys, and I would go open the trunk. We didn't have a push button back then.
Right, right, right.
So I go back
Turn
and
it.
open the trunk, and they would see us there, and the man would come out, and he would take the empty crates, the empty bottles, and take them out, and he'd put 1 or 2 cases of root beer in the trunk of the car and close it, and we'd go home, and that's how our family had root beer.
The rest of us had to buy it.
Yeah.
Out of the
We
sheep,
just-
but not Tom.
Just picking it up for the house, yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
name.
Yeah.
they just backed up and got their cases and.
Do you-
I remember, I like
VIP.
the orange. They had an orange Barq's.
Okay.
They had a number of flavors back, when I was a kid. They had lemon, lime, and orange, and strawberry, and
They did.
grape,
All Barq's.
and cream soda.
Really?
They did,
Yeah.
yes.
And they were all in the same bottle. They just had a
Grape.
different cap on the top of the bottle. But I like the orange, and I remember actually walking through the, going to the plant, and seeing the stacks, and I would grab orange bottles out of it and go stick them in the root and stick them in the root, because
Yeah.
I wanted a couple of
Yeah, you hide them. You
a couple of
stashing
oranges
them
in there
away.
too.
Yeah,
So
stashing them
You
away.
know,
Yeah.
I
Mix
never,
and match.
yeah.
never really thought about this, but isn't it something that you love the orange so much? Because originally in New Orleans, before they came to Biloxi
Yeah.
with the root beer, the original beverage that they had accolades for was Orangine, which won the gold medal at the
the Chicago World's Fair.
Chicago World's
That's a big deal.
That was
Fair.
a big to do.
That's a big to
And
do.
I
Yeah.
can tell you what year it was. It was 1893. It was the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, because on the gold medal, they printed Christopher Columbus,
Mhm.
because in it was the anniversary of his landing, 1492, 1892, and that's what the embossment was on
Right.
that medal.
Now that particular orange flavor, what was the name you said again?
Orangine, and it
Orangine.
was from what we understand, the two brothers developed that, and it was, the syrup was made with juice from the Louisiana Hamlin orange, that because the Louisiana Hamlin grows
Mhm.
very well
Right.
in our part of the country.
Okay, that was my question. Was that their? I didn't know if that was their formula or they were just the bottler at that
No,
time.
it
So
was
that was
theirs.
So he already
Yeah.
had a history of
yeah.
of creating
Right.
They
great
did.
formulas before even
Hand
the-
in hand with his brother
Okay.
right there.
That's wild.
So, when he came here, the root beer just,
I
This
just
was what he was. This is what he was going for when he locked onto this. He knew it was like, okay, this is
Yeah, this is gonna
the
work.
one we've
Yeah.
been.
I
this
just-
is the
yeah.
one.
I just like envision him like bottling water, and he's just like, man, this is so boring. Like,
It sucks.
It's water, man.
Well-
I have this I think
Yeah.
it's like, and then the orange thing pops, and he's like, I'm good at this. Like I can
Somebody
do
give
it.
him
you-
sugar.
Him and his brother, right?
try-
And they're like, yeah, we got this. He's like, dude, I got a crazy. Stick with
Yeah.
me. We're gonna abandon the orange.
Yeah.
Root beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, man, not root beer. No, he's like, no, you gotta
but
follow
his
me.
brother wasn't alive when the root beer was
Here. Oh,
invented.
he wasn't. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
No,
But we're
his
not going to
brother
call it
passed
root beer. We're going
away.
to call it
Pop.
Barq. Yeah, we're going to call it
Provide
Pop.
something.
But can you imagine this formally educated sugar chemist, educated in Bordeaux, France, who wanted to make fine wines and champagnes, and he's over in Biloxi, Mississippi, bottling artesian
And see,
water.
like
and
where my
sitting
mind
out on
goes,
his
he's got
railroad.
a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He's mad because
We
he's
know
like,
he wanted to bottle
Gotta get better
beer,
than this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
and he was stuck in Prohibition.
Yes.
Oh.
But he was really interested in
what an
beer,
evil
and,
time that
beer
was.
and champagne. But that
Yeah.
who knows? If it hadn't been for Prohibition,
You
we might not
have-
have.
We might
So
not
one
have
good
Barq.
thing, one
One
good
good
thing
thing
out
out
of
of
Prohibition.
Prohibition.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we
Ah,
go.
dog. Okay. All right. So, like we said, we got that was a great story. And
Yeah,
I
that was
appreciate
cool.
you sharing that with us. We've got the pictures. Let's show.
Okay.
So we've seen
Yeah.
what it used to look like. It's going to take a second before y'all can see it over here, but we got what
Let's
it
get the
used to
grand
look
tour
like.
without giving too much of the tour.
That's right. And I got 4 different pictures here.
Okay.
It's going to hit up on the screen. But the people that are watching live, you're going to see that's the building there. Obviously, fully restored. There's the steps that we were talking about that were built from the foundation. So those are not originally steps, but original part of the building. There we go. You can see it there. And solid white like it used to be in all its glory there, with the tracing and the Biloxi Artesian Bottling Works redone on the front. So everything looks great there. And then I'll let y'all take it from here now that you can actually see it.
Okay. So what you're seeing, you see those beautiful brick floors that we've put in, and the wood. If you look at the picture of the main bottling house, which is now the living area, you will notice the wood on the walls. The wood on those walls, 3 of the 4 walls in the main living area, is original wood to the building. And then you'll notice the kitchen area underneath the portraits.
Yeah.
There's a different wood under there. The wood in the kitchen is the original roof boards from the top of the house. You can still see all the nail holes from where the original tin was nailed into the roof. And then to the left on that one picture of the living area, you see a little piece of the lighted cabinets. That whole wall is dedicated
the photos
to
there.
the pump.
Right.
Those are the cases. They go all the way across the wall. You can't see it in the picture, but bottles that date back all the way to 1898. And we have a few surprises for people when it comes to bottles, things people would never imagine.
I like how you tease like
Yeah.
that. I like that. That's smart.
So
That's marketing.
Well,
right
and
there.
part of that is the teacher in me, because I love history. Then above that kitchen area, you see a solid wall, and you see the portrait of Edward Barq Sr., Edward Barq Jr., Edward Barq III. Does it show Bill Barq? Or does
Yes, that's the last one.
it
that
shows Bill, and then to the right, you don't see the picture of Ella Mae Barq, but she is there. These are the 5 people in the first 3 generations who helped build this corporation and make it into what it became through the years. And they deserve to be there. So that whole wall is dedicated to the people. So you have a wall dedicated to the root beer itself, the bottles, a wall dedicated to the people. And what you don't see is the south wall, which is dedicated to the building itself. It actually tells the story of the building from
It's
start
there.
to finish.
It's
Is it there? I
it's-
just can't see it.
You can see the pictures on the. You can't see them real close, but you can see the pictures are there.
Okay.
That's a pictorial history of the building from the first one
those
that
at
you
the
showed.
top.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yes.
the light's blocking it for you.
That
yeah.
you do
Right.
see that window wall. That's the south-facing wall.
That just
yes.
shows you what the building looked like through the decades.
Right.
From the
Okay.
very first picture that we know of to today.
Who was the creative director on the renovation of the building? How it looks on the inside, the art, the reutilization of the wood. Who was the?
They were mostly just my ideas.
Okay.
They
Again,
were.
I think I talked about it a little bit before. I'd come up with an idea, and I would tell Andrew, say, "Hey, this is kind of what I want to do. What can we do?" And he'd say, "Okay,
We can do it."
And and he'd think about it for a few days, and he'd come
Yeah.
back and he'd say, "What about this?"
Yeah.
And he can just make it happen. I can tell him what I want. He knows.
Right.
He knows.
Now, when
Gotta
it
do it.
came to decorating and deciding where the memorabilia would go, Tom had a definite idea in his head, and he said, I want to do this, 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 and this. And then I stepped in with the decoration of, the design of the suites, the setup of the living room, designing a kitchen that would be functional for me to make sure that I did what I needed to do, or I would have the ability to do what I need to do to serve the people, because this is a service-related business.
Yeah.
We're here to entertain, to share the history, but also to take care of the people that come to rest there in that building while they visit us, and to also, be able to plan small events,
Okay.
Yeah.
very small events.
I think this goes back to Joey's question a second ago
Okay.
about how many.
Yeah. How many people could stay? How many rooms,
Okay.
bathrooms, all this stuff?
So, do I have liberty to tell a lot.
Whatever you want.
Okay, whatever
Just
I want.
not the
I
recipe.
like those
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
Not the recipe.
Okay, not the recipe.
recipe.
I don't know the recipe.
Right.
Okay, so the building has 3 very beautiful suites. And by suites, I mean bedrooms with a little sitting area and private bath to each bedroom. The 3 suites are named after the 3 granddaughters of Edward Barq Sr. So you have the Ella May,
Okay.
the Dorothy, she was Tom's mother, and the Beryl. And Tom's Aunt Beryl, we just lost her. She passed away just a few weeks ago.
Oh, I'm
She
sorry.
marked the end of that generation. And she was a lovely woman.
Yeah.
So the suites are beautiful, each of them designed to look similar to a combination of what the bedrooms looked like in the original Barq home on the beach, Tom's grandfather and grandmother's house, and the Barq farm out in Ocean Springs. So we've made it very comfortable. People who stay there will actually stay in rooms that feel like they were in their houses.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful blend of history. It's a beautiful blend of styles of the old Victorian that was very popular at the turn of the century in the late 1800s, and also a little bit of an Art Deco twist
Mm-hmm.
in there with the industrial that went along with the bottling house itself. It's just a beautiful, beautiful combination of all of that. Each room has a private bath. One of the suites has a double facing, 2-person jetted tub with a rainfall shower. The other 2 suites have stand up showers. The premier suite, the Barrel, is located in the loft where the syrups were actually mixed
Sweet.
and sent down. And that suite is built under the eaves of the bottling house. So you get the slanted ceiling, but you also have a private balcony with a hot tub for 2
Oh,
Wow.
that is
sweet.
attached to that suite. So you actually lay your head down in that loft where those syrups were mixed by hand by Tom's great grandmother at first, Mrs. Elodie Barq. So it is just absolutely beautiful. It is. The downstairs is the main bottling house. My suite is there. It's very tiny. It's located behind the stairs. Um, it is all one big open space. Even the kitchen is open into the dining area, which is open into the living area. So it's a perfect place to gather. Not only can we sleep 6, and we will entertain children ages 10 and up.
Okay.
So we will also be able to have small events, small dinner parties, maybe a private little wedding, a shower, a bridal shower.
Mhm.
We have the capacity to seat a few people, but we haven't gotten our official capacity number from the
Right.
fire department
Right.
yet.
Okay.
So we can't
Say it,
say
yeah.
Yeah.
exactly how many, we can,
Having their
Have
have
there
there
at
for
one
sure.
time.
Right. But that's kind of what we anticipate.
Okay.
It's what we're gearing up for. We're prepared for that and excited about that. The 2 downstairs suites I love because if you had a family come in, like a mother and a father with a couple of teenagers or something, you have those 2 suites and there's a sliding door, like a barn style door,
Mhm.
Right.
that slides across to separate those 2 suites from the main bottling house. That door is an original 1800s door from the building.
Wow.
Yeah.
Its imperfections are what make it so beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
to see the hardware, the cast iron hardware that was hand forged in the 1800s, and we didn't bring it in from somewhere. It belongs there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The history's
So-
just
Yeah,
just
they're popular.
everywhere.
They're popular now, but that's
Oh,
an
yeah, yeah.
original.
Right, right.
That's the
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah.
And, there were so many things that happened in the building. So when I thought about how to design the building aesthetically, and to make it comfortable, we both talked about this. We thought about the functionality of the building was threefold. First, it was a bottling house. Then it was Lucille's Restaurant, and now it's a bed and breakfast that serves as a living museum. We thought about the different people who have done different things there, like the kitchen. Um, the original oyster bar sign from Lucille's Restaurant is above the sink.
Oh, wow.
And that kitchen is dedicated to Tom's Aunt Lucille. She cooked for people and made sure they were fed in that building.
Right.
Just old Biloxi food, you know?
I'm talking about.
And then so that is dedicated to her. The 3 suites dedicated to the 3 granddaughters. The 5 that are displayed very proudly in those portraits. I mean, we tried
Your
to
suite.
include everybody. My suite, which is named the Luella after the wife of Bill Barq. So all of the women, even the wives of the men, have been included. I'm going to even tell you that I'm a bread baker. I
Yes.
love baking bread and pastries. Even the sourdough starter is named Lillian after Tom's grandmother, Lillian
Sweet.
Barq. So, you know, I mean, we've tried to include everybody, you know, in the building
Yeah,
up
right.
this
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, like you
and-
said, the history is thick
All over
in
the
that
place.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people get to
And you're going to be the chef, right? You're going to be what's whipping
I'll
up everything?
cook breakfast for sure.
Yeah.
And a dinner party or two. Yes, my mother, you know, that was a big thing for her. She was a big time entertainer. She loved the social life. She was on parish life committee at the cathedral for years. She loved to cook. You know, much like in my family home, there was always a hot pot of coffee, you know, and a beautiful table at which to sit. And we've already begun sitting around that table
Yeah.
because that's a big thing. You know, that old Biloxi coffee talk. You stop by, you, and
A
we
little bit of
want,
banter.
Yeah.
and we want it to feel that way. We want people to come in and feel at home. You know, when I open that door, you know, welcome to my home. It just happens to be the birthplace of Barks. Make yourself at home. You know, there will be treat on the island every single day at check-in time at 4 o'clock. Those treats will stay on that island, and if you don't want to treat at 4 o'clock, if you want to throw on your bathrobe and tiptoe down at midnight and help yourself, that is just how I want people to feel. I want them to feel comfortable, and I want them to feel like they can come back again and again.
Yeah.
What?
I was going to ask, tell us about the check-in process and the rental process and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
How
How
do
do,
you-
we rent it? Do we do 1 bedroom? All that stuff.
Okay, so a person could go online, and I do have the website ready to go online. I just don't want to go live with it until we're able to firmly confirm reservations.
Okay.
Which will be within the next 60 to 90 days. We think it'd be closer to 60, but we're just
Playing
waiting
it
to see.
safe.
Play it safe. So a person could call and reserve 1 suite. They could reserve 2, or they could reserve 3. The whole building. There will be regular rates for during the week. There'd be peak rate on weekends and during the summer, and then there's high peak like during Mardi
Cruising the
Gras,
coast.
cruising
Yeah.
the coast, and you know things like that. A person could call and say we had a couple getting married. They wanted a private little wedding for just their family. They could rent the entire building, and I would be there with them. So it can be done that way. I mean, there are a multitude of different things that we can and ways that we can accommodate. Part of the beauty of that is that it is a small establishment, that it is a family owned, privately run establishment, that we can cater to the needs of the particular guest. And we look forward to doing that,
Yeah.
you know. The suites have been appointed beautifully and they're very comfortable. The linens are wonderful. The beds are fantastic. Even down to the pillows. I mean, you know, we have down alternative, we have memory foam. You can pick, you can choose, you can use both. You know,
You sleep on the floor if you want to.
If you want to, I don't know why you would. Or you can sleep on the sofa in front of that big screen TV and watch movies all
Right,
night long if
yeah.
you want to. You know, it's just really, it's beautiful. And you know, there's a spot at the kitchen table where you can sit and look through the window. And not only can you see the water in Deer Island, you can see over Deer Island to the other side. And in the mornings and in the evenings at sunup and sundown, you can actually sit and watch the pelicans dive
Oh,
for
yeah.
fish. It's the most beautiful sight. One day I was sitting there and I saw a splash and I saw another splash, and I thought it was the pelicans. It was dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only set I've seen, but they were jumping.
Oh, they're thick.
They
They're
were jumping. They weren't
stealing
just
everybody's
arcing.
fish is what they were
They
doing.
weren't just arcing and showing their fins. They were up in the air. And I mean, where else in the world can you go stay and have a personal experience,
Oh, yeah.
a historical experience, and be able to see something like that?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, or walk down the street to go walk barefoot on the beach. The beach is 150 yards from the front door.
Mm,
Yeah,
you can
and then
make
all
it.
the downtown Biloxi
Yeah,
amenities
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
So.
yeah.
I literally, on the 4th of July, stood at the kitchen window inside and watched the entire fireworks display
That's awesome.
from that kitchen window. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did drop the Facebook page in
Okay.
in the comments right here, so
Sure.
people can click right on that and go
Sure.
to the Facebook page. You said the website's not up yet because you want to make sure everything's ready to go.
It's ready to go, but I just don't want to put it online until we can accept a
Okay,
reservation.
that was my question. Is
Now,
it,
I have had people call the business line,
okay,
and I have had people message me through the Facebook page looking for reservations, and I've been able to pencil their names down and tell them that I can't accept a deposit or make a promise, but that we anticipate, you know, being open for the holidays. So if anyone's interested in a small event or to stay, they can call and speak with me at that business line, which is listed on the Facebook page, or message me about that. Those conversations are happening in the background. There are people penciled in tentatively.
okay,
Right.
okay. That's good to know. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
Mhm.
I got one more before we go.
Yep.
Sure.
Do you have to, is there going to be some way to tour the building without staying there?
Yes.
Good question.
Okay.
Okay. So once a month, and I am going to have, I think it's the second Wednesday. Don't quote me on that because I have to see how things go.
Right.
One of the Wednesdays per month, there will be private tours by appointment. Those tours will be free of charge, but they're going to probably be well sought after.
Mhm.
So you'd have to
Right.
call in advance because it's only once a month. But I will dedicate one full Wednesday to bringing people in small tours through the downstairs of the building, through the memorabilia and the
Right.
historical part of it. I'm also, because I'm a retired teacher, I'm a 37-year veteran
Mm.
teacher. I'm also going to work to try to fit in one school group per month free of charge, where they would transport in.
Right. Like a field trip.
But,
Yeah.
And I think that's really important because the children of our community and the older children, the teenagers of our community, it's important for them to know
Yeah.
what place Barq's holds in the history of our home. And where better to keep that alive, that history alive, than the place where it all started in
Yeah.
1898. Tom has been very gracious to say that it's okay to do that. And I look forward to doing that. Might take a little while to get it started. My first priority is to get the bed and breakfast open and running smoothly. I venture to say it will. And then we're going to phase in these other things a little bit at
Cool.
a time.
I think it's gonna be. I think it's a
Yeah.
great idea. I think
It's
it's
gonna
cool.
be
I
killer,
think it's
yeah.
way better than just a museum.
Yeah.
Like being able to stay
Yeah.
there, that just makes it 10
We
times
need to go check
better.
it out.
So, yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you already invited us 3 or 4 times. We need to go check it out.
Yes, I want the two of you definitely
Oh,
to
we would
come
love
and
to do that.
stay
Film
and-
some content and put it out. That'd
You
be
know
great.
you can, and as a matter of fact, that's a great segue. I have 2 different blogs that are going to take place that nobody has seen yet. One is a written blog through the formal website.
Okay.
And that blog it's stories from the second step.
Okay.
That second step is special, and I'm not going to tell you about it now, but it's very special. So that's the written blog through the website, and then I have a YouTube channel that I've started
Awesome.
so that we can have guest cooks come in to cook breakfast for people
That'd be killer,
sometimes,
yeah.
and different things. And
That's great. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Not just cooking, but all kinds of things that happen there at the B&B.
Yeah, you got to boil some crabs and some shrimp and get some root beer and sit there on a table and talk, because I mean that's iconic.
And we can do that.
Yeah.
And we will do that.
Yeah.
You know, those are all things we have talked about. And
Yes.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, look, we appreciate y'all
Yeah.
stopping by. Thank
Oh,
you for
sure.
sharing
Wish
your
y'all the
family
best of
story. Thank you
luck.
for sharing your story.
Thank you for inviting
Oh
us.
no, this is like so in our wheelhouse for this show. It's like it doesn't get
Yeah.
any more of what we like to cover than this right here. So
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to having the two of you as guests
would
and
love
maybe to do a little bit of
yes, absolutely.
broadcast from the actual site
We-
when we're open.
We can make that happen for sure.
And yeah.
We got to bring our wives though.
Yeah.
We don't get to leave without our wives.
Well, you can do that. You can do that, and we would be glad to. We would be glad to have you.
Well, thank you so
there.
much. We appreciate that. We'd love to take you
Yeah.
up on that offer as
Oh,
well.
okay.
Again, the Facebook page is in the comments right now. People can go check it out
Yes.
and start perusing around. Look at some of the. I only shared just a few photos.
Right.
They got a ton of photos on there, so go look at that. And then 60 to 90-ish days, be
Yeah,
ready to.
we're praying for closer to 60 days, but definitely the holidays
Yeah.
will be open. And, you know, if I could just ask, you know, if your viewers go in and look at that Facebook page, hit a like, communicate with us.
Yeah.
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 You know, this is part of life for us. Running a bed and breakfast is not just a business; it's a way of life,
Mhm.
and it's part of our community. And as a lot of our old Biloxi people will say, we are Biloxi.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
We
yeah.
are Biloxi. So you know, we're there.
There you go.
We're
Yeah,
there.
yeah. We got to keep that cultural stuff
Yes.
in everybody's minds, and
Yes.
again, know where this came from. So it's a
Yes.
great story.
Yes.
Thanks again for sharing it with us. Thanks everybody for watching on the lives,
Yeah,
the replays.
thanks.
Everything will be linked on the audio side of this, the podcast side. So it won't. You have no excuse to not be able to go check
Yeah.
it out.
Correct.
And real quick before we wrap it up, again, our fishing tournament is coming up in October, so be on the lookout for that as well. We'll have registration going up as soon as we nail down all the sponsors. We got a few more
I
slots.
think
If
we
people-
got 2 left. Yeah.
Two more slots,
We
so-
at the Seafood Museum this year.
That's right. So
yeah.
if people want to, if you got a business and you want to promote, let us know. Jump on that, and we'll get you on the flyer. Again, thanks for watching, for tuning in the lives replay. If y'all keep tuning in, we'll keep doing them, and we'll see you on the next one.
Later.
Thanks so much for checking out the show. We really appreciate the support. If you haven't downloaded the Brownwater Banter app yet, go do it. It's free in the App Store and on Google Play. We have everything covered for a day out on the water. We've got the tides, the radar, Tails and Scales app. We've got a radio station right inside of it, and it's all free. All of our content is in there. You can listen to the show directly inside of the app. Make sure you keep your notifications turned on so you can stay in touch with us as we go live with guests in the future and plan events. If y'all keep tuning in, we'll keep doing them. We'll see you on the next one.
Brown Water Banter.